Well, good morning and welcome to each one. And it looks like some of Jason's shopping habits are starting to spread out through council. So good to enjoy the season. Welcome to each, and I just want to make you aware that council meetings are available live through Zoom, and recordings may be posted online on County of Huron's YouTube channel. You may be seen or heard as part of these broadcasts, and your name, comments, and presentation materials will become part of the public record. And with that, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And the first off on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. And we do have proposed a closed session for this morning. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended for that closed session. So that's Councillor Harding. Councillor Anderson is seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest to declare at this time? Seeing none, then we'll move on to the minutes of our previous meeting. Is there someone willing to adopt those minutes as they've been circulated? That's past Warden McNeil. Councillor Noel would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. And we're going right into our delegations and presentations. And we've a smoking bylaw update, and we have Angela Willard and Laura O'Rourke here to present to us. So ladies, welcome. And when you're ready, you can join us with your presentation.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Laura O'Rourke. I'm a public health promoter at Huron Perth Public Health, and I'm here today with Angela Willard, Public Health Manager, and Mark Granston. In the stands here, our Tobacco Enforcement Officer. So we're here today to discuss some changes we're recommending to the Huron County Smoking Bylaw 21-2003. This presentation, next slide please, will consist of understanding why HPPH is making these recommendations. We're going to share some statistics and harms related to vaping and water pipes, and then walk through the recommendations we are asking for the bylaw.
Thanks, Laura. Next slide. So the recommended updates to Huron County Smoking Bylaw 21-2003 aim to reflect best practices and trends. The bylaw itself is viewed as innovative across the province as it includes prohibiting smoking in hotels and motels. So kudos to Huron County for providing that leadership across the county. Another strength of this bylaw is that with it sitting at the upper tier, it allows consistent practice across all 9 lower tier municipalities. The recommended updates that we're going to walk you through include routine housekeeping and the addition of vaping language, as well as adding provisions for water pipe use, helping us better protect community health and reduce exposure to harmful smoke for residents of all ages. Next slide, please. These recommendations are important as they would align with the Huron County No Smoking Bylaw 2018, which was Amendment 2018-057, and the definition of smoking within it. We are also proposing additional language to explicitly include water pipes in this definition, which I will discuss shortly. There are growing concerns about the variety of tobacco and nicotine products available. Tobacco control in Canada is rapidly evolving. While cigarettes historically dominated the smoking landscape, the popularity of vaping products, water pipes, and other tobacco products have been steadily increasing in recent years. Next slide.
So in Huron and Perth, about 22% of students in grade 9 to 12 that completed our Compass survey indicated that they had vaped in the last 30 days. Provincially, about 1 in 8, or 13% of students in grade 7 to 12 reported vaping in the last year. And just to put this into a bit of context, about 3% of students smoke tobacco cigarettes. So vaping is definitely more common than cigarettes now. Many believe vaping is safer than smoking, but this is not true. And vaping carries real health risks. This bylaw currently lacks clear language around vaping, which also creates some enforcement gaps. Next slide, please. So water pipes are labeled with numerous different terms. A common other name is hookah. So these devices are used to smoke shisha, which can be tobacco, flavored tobacco, or non-tobacco herbal mixtures. So in water pipes, charcoal heats the shisha and the smoke passes through water before being inhaled through the hose and mouthpiece. Although this process cools the smoke, it does not remove the harmful chemicals or makes it safer. And while water pipe smoking has deep cultural roots in parts of the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia, it has become increasingly popular in other regions, including Canada. In Ontario, this rise in popularity, particularly among our youth, has been influenced by the fact that the perception of water pipe smoke is less harmful because it feels smoother and cooler. The growth of hookah lounges and cafes are normalizing social water pipe use, and there's also an availability of sweet or candy-like flavors that appeal to our youth. So according to the 2023 Ontario Student Drug Use and Health Survey, about 2% of Ontario students in grades 7 to 12 reported using water pipe in the last year. Despite this, many young people still believe it is a safer alternative to cigarettes. And in reality, a single water pipe session can expose users to as much smoke as in 100 cigarettes. So along with that, there's high levels of carbon monoxide, heavy metals, and carcinogens from the charcoal. Under the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, which we might refer to as SFOA, smoking tobacco containing shisha in a water pipe is prohibited in enclosed workplaces, enclosed public places, and designated outdoor areas such as restaurants and bar patios. However, using herbal or non-tobacco shisha is not prohibited under the SFOA, unless stricter local bylaws apply. Even herbal shisha produces harmful smoke from burning the charcoal, posing risks to both users and bystanders. Next slide, please.
Thank you. Locally, we're working with staff from Perth County municipalities to also propose recommendations to update their bylaws to address water pipe use. These recommendations have not yet gone to their council. We acknowledge our partners over in St. Mary's who have language that do prohibit water pipe use, which is a great local example. Provincially, water pipe lounges are raising several concerns, one of which is enforcement, as it is challenging to ensure compliance with regulations. The law only bans tobacco shisha, and it can be hard to tell the difference from herbal products during inspections. We've heard from other regions that it's quite common to experience compliance issues with operators and patrons. We do not currently have any water pipe lounges in Huron County. Our role as public health is to support municipalities and the province through education, policy, guidance, and progressive enforcement support, helping reduce youth access and protect the community from secondhand smoke. Next slide, please. With that, we will walk through the current bylaw and outline changes that are either housekeeping in nature, for example, expanding smoking to read smoking and vaping, along with changes to legislation, and also changes that have very much intention that, if approved, would restrict water pipe lounges from operating within Huron County. Current bylaw language does not clearly prohibit them from operating. Next slide, please.
So we have organized the recommendations into two sections. You can see the original language on the bylaw on the left hand of the screen and the edits or the additions on the right. So the first addition in the introduction is that anywhere where it speaks to smoking, the addition of vaping has been added. This occurs in 16 other places throughout the bylaw. Next slide, please. Also in the introduction, e-cigarettes and water pipes have been added to the list of sources of tobacco smoke. So this is both housekeeping language and an example of where we recommend intentional language that's added to reflect restriction to water pipe use. Next slide, please. In the definitions, you'll see this is where the bulk of our proposed changes are. So the name of the Long-Term Care Act changed, and this is reflective of the new name. This act is also mentioned in the definitions 1.5 and 1.7. Next slide, please. We've added a new definition of property owner. So we heard from other health units that the inclusion of property owner would be important because many of the water pipe lounges they are dealing with had many different layers of management, and it was important that they were all included in the definition. Next slide, please. So we added to the definition of smoking to reflect the same definition as in Huron County's No Smoking Bylaw 2018 with the amendment of 057. But we've also additionally added at the end there that yellow section and includes but not limited to the use of cigarettes, pipe, water pipe, bong, or any other smoking equipment. Next slide, please. So we've also added in the definition of the Smoke-Free Ontario Act 2017. Next slide, please. And defining as the smoking product is an addition to the definitions as well. So it includes reference to both vapor and non-tobacco herbal shisha. This definition is also included based on recommendations from a scan of other smoking bylaws in Ontario and restrict the operation of water pipe lounges. Next slide, please. We've also added the definition around vaporizing and vape here. Next slide, please. We've also added the definition of water pipe. And this, in part 3, we've included property owner here. So both the proprietor and the property owner are held accountable. And the last slide, next slide, is our last recommendation. So this is in part 4, where we've added language to align with the Smoke Free Ontario Act signage requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. So to conclude, these recommended updates help protect the health of our residents by reducing the public's exposure to vaping and water pipe use and smoke. They give our enforcement officers clear guidance and send a strong message to our community about the health risks of these products. Next slide. Thank you for your time today, and we are happy to take any questions you may have.
Well, thank you, Laura and Angela. I'm going to go to council if there's any questions or comments for the ladies here. And seeing none, then I'm going to suggest a motion that we receive this report. And that's Councillor Finch, seconded by Councillor Vanstone. Those in favor of that, that is carried. And I will ask council, is there any follow-up you would like from what we've heard today on these suggestions? Councillor Noel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I wonder if a report from staff would be appropriate to consider implementing these recommendations.
It surely would.
Thank you.
So I take that as a motion, and Councillor Heffer would second that motion. Those in favor of that, and that is carried. So thank you for your presentation and suggestions today.
Thank you for your time. On behalf of Huron Perth Public Health, we wish you a happy and, of course, healthy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor comments. Is there anything anybody has at this time to share? All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.6. Is there any specific item that anybody would like to pull? Councillor Klopp, please.
Just a comment on the expenditures for that report, the first one. Just comment. Do it now. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea how you break it out. Just want a clarification when you get into expenditures and it's wages. That's the wages right across the whole board, like everybody in the system, from the truck driver to the janitor.
Through yourself, Warden. It just depends on which report you're looking at. If it's the consolidated, I don't have the attachment up, but it depends on the heading of the report. Like if it says consolidated, that would be everybody. If it says homes for the aged, it would be strictly homes for the aged.
Consolidated.
Consolidated, that's across the board.
Okay, and then as it breaks down, well, revenue, and then it goes down to the actual expenses. It's broke down to each one.
Yes.
I like that format. It gives you an idea what cost is there as we go forward in the budget process. So I think that's good. I just want to make that comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other issues from the consent agenda anybody wants to pull? If not, then I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. And that's Councillor Basnet, past Warden Ginn, seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Social and Property Services, and Cheryl is here to present. Yes, go ahead, Cheryl, come on up. An agreement for funding for childcare center potential startup in Howick Township.
Thank you, Warden, and through you to members of council. The Township of Howick has expressed interest in becoming a licensed childcare operator. Their application for startup funding includes creating approximately 49 new childcare spaces connected to the Howick Recreation Centre. This would add a brand new licensee to Huron County's childcare system, expanding local capacity and supporting families in a community that was specifically named in our directed growth plan with the Ministry of Education. To help make this project a reality, staff are recommending that council approve startup funding of $2 million for the Township of Howick. This funding would contribute to the cost of establishing the new center and is 100% ministry funded, intended for the purpose of creating childcare spaces. It's also recommended that Huron County enter into a startup agreement with the township, which indicates our commitment to this funding, and also that the service provider acknowledges that any funding provided that remains unspent by the end of the agreement or that's not used for the intended purpose would be repaid to the County of Huron. Funding would also not be issued until Howick Council has approved their commitment to the project. To move forward efficiently, we are requesting a bylaw be drafted, authorizing warden and clerk to sign necessary agreements and related documents, and ratification is requested at today's meeting to ensure commitments can be made before the December 31st provincial deadline. This initiative does align with the Ministry of Education's goal of creating 86,000 new childcare spaces across Ontario through the federal provincial childcare agreement. Each region, including Huron County, has been assigned targets for spaces between 2022 and 2026, and I know you've heard us talk about those before. And the Howick project represents an important contribution towards meeting those targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there any comments from council? Past Warden McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to Cheryl. Cheryl, if you could just clarify something. I don't have any problem with what we're talking about doing here, but I thought when I read through it, it said something about the fact that you had to be up and running by the end of December this year. Did I read that wrong, or what was that wording?
Cheryl, please.
Through you, Warden. So the commitments need to be made by the end of this year, December 31st, 2025, and then construction and licensing should be done by the end of December 2026.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a prepared motion. Councillor Finch is prepared to put that forward. Councillor Basnet is wanting to second that. So those in favor, and that is carried. Thank you, Cheryl. And I believe that you're here for questions on the financial support for the North Huron childcare expansion. So is there any questions for Cheryl when she's here? Not seeing any questions, Cheryl, then again, I'd be looking for some direction from council. So Councillor Dietrich would make that motion and Councillor Heffer would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Cheryl. Under Homes for the Aged, we've got some funding from Ontario Health for both Huron View and Huron Lee homes. And Dana is available for questions if there's questions regarding this information. And if not, be looking for a motion to receive. Councillor Vanstone, Councillor McClellan seconds that. Those in favor? That is carried. Under Emergency Services, the Seaforth Joint Emergency Services Base update, and Jeff is available for questions regarding this. And I'll go to council if there's anything. I think this is a... Councillor Klopp, please.
It says to move for information, correct? No, I'll move it, but I have some comments for us to chew on as we go forward, I guess might be the right word. But I'll move the motion, but I'd like to comment.
Okay, motion is put forward. Is there a seconder to receive? That is Councillor Noel. Before I call the question, comments?
Yes, as the report shows, and you dig into it, there's a line in there back in February of 2020, there was a clear direction that we need to do something in that area. And there was talking about a 3-bay. And it also talks in that one line in there about that expansion is not possible at Bayfield and Zurich, then a new station can't be built at Brussels, then Seaforth would be a larger house to spare vehicles. We have a motion for discussion or brought forth the Bayfield that we definitely have to do something there. And it's been, again, driven by facts, not us as politicians, that it's a 24-hour service. So that's got to happen. Zurich right now is in the building sharing with the county shed. And personally, I get it. The staff maybe don't like it, but we as tax, we have to be somewhat even if it's 50-cent dollars, we still have to look at it that way. So I'm saying it's probably okay. But this idea that $7 and $8 million now, I always want to say that just, it's nice to have, but as we're talking about the system, we have to also balance that. So that's why I said, I guess, something to chew on as we go forward here. The whole idea of our system is it's about getting an ambulance to someone as quick as possible. And I think we need to keep that in mind. And when I look back, it's interesting how it said in 2015, we need to do something. And in 2019, COVID came. And I know COVID has got us all, I've used it as a get out of jail card free too. But it is interesting how life has somehow gone along. And yet we're talking about people's lives. So I get it, but I just want to leave that as a note that's going forward. And thank you for your time.
All right. Anything else before I call the question? So those in favor, that is carried. Under Public Works, front end loader. Imran is available for questions if there is any regarding the front end loader. It's hard to question something that comes in under budget as nicely as that.
Yes.
Yes. So motion put forward, seconded by Councillor Becker. Those in favor, that is carried. And traffic concerns review, and Imran is prepared to speak to this. Go ahead, Imran.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you. So this report is regarding the intersection at County Road 11 and County Road 6, where the County Council had requested a staff report regarding recommendations. So we've had repeated complaints with speed and people blowing through intersection. In the past, the county has already taken certain steps. Generally speaking, we take incremental steps. So we've already increased the signs to oversized signs. The stop bars have been painted repeatedly. We have reflective strips on the posts. And in 2024, we changed the speed limit from 70 to a 50 as well. So at this point, our only option is to put pole top flashers, and that's the recommendation that we have. And we just want County Council to be aware that beyond this, there's not really much we can do internally. And if the problems persist, we'd have to go to a detailed study to see what our options would be.
Thank you, Imran. I have a couple hands up, so pass Warden McClellan first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to Imran. My concern was when I read the report, it sounded like speeding was the big issue, not going through the intersection, but we're just identifying the stop signs, which it doesn't seem like we're actually addressing the problem that the complaints are coming for.
Go ahead, Imran.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warren. Through you, we've received, I would say, majority of the complaints have been speeding, but there have been issues with blowing through the stop sign too. And the pole top flashers, really, they increase visibility, and just that attention can sometimes reduce the speeding concerns too. But yes, like there are multiple concerns, and internally, this would be our next step to just make it more visible to the drivers, and yeah, and hope that does the trick. Like I said, we do incremental measures, and obviously the steps that we've taken so far haven't been very effective either. And like I said, the next step would be to do a more detailed study to see if there's any more geometric issues that are causing the speeding instead of the smaller measures that we're taking.
Councillor Finch, please.
Thank you, and great job, Imran. I really have a lot of respect for your staff and what you've accomplished here. But I think as councillors, we have to realize there's a combination of two factors happening. We have people speeding through the intersection and speeding through the without this in the through lanes, of course, on County Road 11 or County Road 6. Sorry, but when people come through that intersection on north and southbound, if you put those two combinations together, we're going to have a disaster. So putting the pole tops on there is, I think, is a wise decision. I would support 100%, and any other intersection for that matter across the county.
Councillor Basnet, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. Is there an opportunity to ask for some more police presence in that area just to monitor things? I realize OPP are busy, but every now and again when we get something happen in our own municipalities, we can put in a request for certain areas for more presence. Or has that opportunity already happened where we've asked the OPP to be there?
Imran, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. I don't think we've actually requested it specifically at this location. We can do that, and they will certainly come out and help us. I will say that through past experience, that really only lasts until the OPP is there and the effects are not permanent. But that is definitely an option that we can explore, and we will follow up on that with OPP.
Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, and to the point of having the OPP there, that's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're reactive. If a car goes through the intersection, he sees them go through the intersection, he may actually witness an accident. So if we can be proactive on it, we can prevent the accident from happening in the first place, regardless if the police are there anyways, because they are busy. They're being asked to be across the county, and it's just not possible.
Councillor Becker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and thank you, Imrad. Any safety measure put forward is a step in the right direction, because that corner and the corner to the north at County Road 83 are two critical corners. We've had numerous accidents there, and if we can slow the people down, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Last call. Seeing nothing else, then what's council's wish? We received the report from Imran here. That's Councillor Finch would make that motion. Councillor Becker is seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Imran. Under administration policies and other issues, our clerk has a report for us, and she is going to take the lead on that now.
Thank you, Warden. So before you is a follow-up report to the report that was presented on day 2, November, where I had some discussions about remunerations and procedural bylaw changes, et cetera, And there was discussion about the potential of us not having a position of past warden in the next election and the contingencies that follow it. So in front of you is a report with the most confusing motion that you've probably seen all year. I am proud to take that. That award as the clerk. I think I deserve it. So I'm proposing 2 options. One is either stay exactly as you are, and if there's a past warden that's sitting, okay. If not, I would like some contingencies put in our procedural bylaw in case we don't, and there's a couple of options for that. The other option is to proceed with the position of a past warden, and there's also some contingencies and some backup for that as well. So I'm going to ask for the discussion on this and see what kind of direction council is interested in.
Okay, going to open it up for council. Past Warden McClellan first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I really don't have any concerns one way or the other of how council wants to deal with this, other than the fact that if I read it correctly, if there's someone appointed as past warden through an election process, there was comment about increased remuneration for that person, and I'm not sure that that's necessary. The bottom line is that we want the warden who has been elected to represent the county as a whole to be the person there as often as possible. And if the person that is holding the past warden position is going to fill in, they're getting paid for showing up for the individual meeting anyways. Other than that, that was really the only comment I had on what I read. Thank you.
That's a good point. And just for clarification, that was just going to be an option, whether there was consideration for extra honorarium or just continue with the remuneration bylaw. So, yeah. Past Warden Ginn, please.
Yeah, thank you. I've had the experience of working with deputy wardens and past wardens. There's some counties that have a deputy warden, and that's a progression to the warden position. You get into the same kind of problems. They might not get elected in the next election. And quite often, my experience has been when they come to a meeting, they don't have the background, the history to it. So I'm very much in favor of keeping the past warden position. If there isn't one after the next election, that's always a possibility, has been since the county was incorporated, that there might not be a past warden, on council. So my recommendation would be that, and I'll make this a motion, that we keep the past warden. If the warden, I agree with Mayor McClellan that I don't think there's needed compensation and honorarium for it. If the past warden fills in, it's just a meeting that you get that you bill for, and it's as simple as that. If it ever gets to the point that it's a long-term vacancy, then that past warden becomes acting warden, and then the compensation needs to be similar, you know, if it's for a year or something like that. But yeah, it's just not been a good experience having people without the background come into meetings that they're not very productive representation of a county. Thank you.
And our clerk would like to make some clarification on the motion right now.
So, Councillor, again, you're suggesting we say status quo with a past warden position. And if we do not have a sitting past warden, how would you like that position to be filled? I gave two options: appoint with a motion of council, or to have the current sitting warden appointing an acting past warden.
Yeah, if you elect the warden, then you should also elect the past warden.
Okay, so it is an appointment of motion of council, so option A. And you're suggesting that option B for the remuneration is basically stay the same.
Correct.
I told you it was confusing.
Okay, Councillor Harding, and then past warden McNeil.
We have a motion, we need a seconder.
Oh, my apologies. We're going to back up. Is there a seconder for that motion? So past warden McNeil would second that motion. And that, just so everybody's clear, is option 1. With the status quo, option A, appointing by motion of council, and option B, remuneration bylaw stands. So we're all clear? Okay. So further discussion? Councillor Harding, please.
Support what Councillor Ginn was saying, and I think that the way he dealt with that, it was perfect. And I would have seconded that motion, but it's already seconded, so.
Okay. So anybody want to third the motion? So, all right. Any other discussion? Councillor Goderich, please.
Thank you. I guess I like the idea of the deputy warden. Simple reason, it gives them experience if they're thinking of going to the warden. I understand none of us are for sure coming back here. But you can't go by that either, because like we elected a new warden that had no experience. So I guess I'm kind of looking at that. We'd have that experience by electing the deputy warden, not saying he would get in, but it would go a long ways in helping them move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Other comments? Councillor McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. And I have to agree with Councillor Goderich as well. Me being new to a deputy position, I found it very beneficial to have that ability. And when the mayor is away, I fill in for him. Gives me a feel of whether or not I would like to go further or not. So I would tend to agree with Councillor Goderich, and that's the way I'd like to vote.
Councillor Klopp, please.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. It's not one I'm going to die on a hill on, that's for sure. But as one that 5 or 6 years ago or whatever was adamant that we should keep it 1-year terms, and I probably used that one line. Well, it's the way we always did it. It's tradition. One of the traditions that I found interesting was that we still kept the maybe curious is the word that we kept that the past warden stays on, and the argument was always, well, the new warden and the past warden can tell him stuff, or her, you know, help them along, learn. And I guess I always thought, well, I guess there was 20 some of us here at the time. I've been sitting in the room when there was over 30 in the back. Yeah, okay, fine. It was the way it did. But we did change that. It's 2-year terms. And there has been always a bit of discussion. And today it finally got to a point here. I think the argument for a deputy is I think that's probably the way to go now, and pick them. So that's where I won't be voting for this motion. I'd like to see how the deputy idea works, and of course it'll still be, because the two got together here about pay. Clearly, I'm supporting if this one isn't passed, that it better have it also that we don't start an honorarium for it. It's not what it's about. But again, at the end of the day, whatever happens here, we're also going to be in the team.
Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through the warden. I agree with Councillor McClellan and Councillor Dietrich down here, not past Warden McClellan, sorry. But as times change, we change with them. In tradition, quite honestly, I was told one time by a teacher that it's peer pressure from the grave. We've always done it this way. We need to continue to change and update things. A past warden could still be a deputy warden. So I think that's something we need to consider. It could be anyone amongst us here. So I'm still open to the discussion on it. So I'm not so sure if a past warden is the proper way to go. It's worked, yes, but maybe a deputy warden would be updating ourselves.
Past Warden McNeil, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And I feel that past warden again encompassed this completely with the fact that it's covered. And I know when I become warden, I looked at the past wardens, Ginn and McClellan, for advice in situations, and it was beneficial to me as warden. And if there's not a past warden that is elected to council, it's covered in the motion as to how that should be handled by a vote of council. And I completely agree with the enumeration that was in the lack of a different remuneration that was in the motion. So I will be supporting this motion. Thank you. I think it's in the best interest of Huron County.
All right. Any other comments? Past Warden Ginn, please.
Yeah, thanks for letting me speak again. But I just think council needs to realize how seldom a past warden actually sits in place of the warden. It's rare. It's 2 or 3 times a year. And if I could just pick any committee that the warden goes to, I'm going to pick the Nuclear Innovation Institute. And if you want someone to walk into that room that has no experience, I just can't feel that they are going to be able to contribute either the county's position or as you take your hat off at the county and sit there as a committee there, nuclear innovation, without the past experience, it's very difficult to contribute. So anyways.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands coming up, so I'm going to get to the point where we call the question. So those in favor of the motion that has been put forward, raise your hands, please. That motion is carried. And Mike, I believe you are here to speak to us about the borrowing bylaw. You're available for questions, I guess. This is a standard practice we need to do every year. Any questions for Mike on that? Seeing none, then I'd be looking for a motion to receive the report and approve that a bylaw be prepared. Past Warden Ginn, Councillor Heffer would second that. Those in favor, that is carried. And the proposed Water and Wastewater Public Corporations Act was in our package as a report, and Megan is available for questions if any of you have questions on that. Seeing none, then Councillor Klopp, please. There is no motion. If you'd like to make one to receive, we'd be happy to do that.
And a comment.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Anderson.
Thank Councillor Anderson for actually bringing this up a couple of weeks ago. I was unaware. I heard about it. I was thinking the government was actually going to upload something like Aqua was started. It was somewhat privatized. But as I was reading this, and I did ask our staff, Mr. Kester, he is aware of it, but maybe we're not all aware of it. And obviously he didn't realize that a lot of us as politicians weren't aware. So I think we better all take this back and seriously look at it. What struck me was I was trying to think, what was the nuance of the ministry coming up and with this idea? And there's a line in here which caught my eye because it's been a word that I remember using a lot of times in another job. New streams, new income stream. But as I started reading about it, it's a new income stream that we would be having to deal with. And the government, and rightfully so, we're looking at changing our direction and curve of costs, and no surprise. But what they're doing here, the way I read this, when it talks about that there'd be a corporation and there'd be some people on it, which is fine in some ways, but then how do you fund it? And you're going to go out and have to find the funding. Now, I think every one of us in this room, and I remember, and Blue Water was the recipient of a fairly large chunk, but it doesn't matter if it's 20% or 70 of provincial dollars to help a waste site or a water system. It affects us in a very positive way. So I read into there that the government of Ontario is going to not be doing that anymore. And that's something that I can see the politicians, the scribes bringing that in, and the Treasury going, hey, this is a great idea. But I think we do need to remind them that this is not the way to do things to fix this problem. And the line in there that was written that it could privatize it somewhere down the road. And that is something I used to think, nah, that'd never happen. In a lot of third world countries, we see stories of watching documentaries. This is how it kind of did happen. A corporation comes in to help them out. They need the money, and all of a sudden it is in private hands. So I think we should very much, at our local councils, have a good scribe writing some good arguments that this isn't the way for the government of Ontario to save money. And then down the road, it could be a real big problem.
So thank you for those comments. Anything else from any member of council? Then I'd be looking for someone to put a motion forward to receive this report. Okay, my apologies. The clerk is straightening out, and we are going to call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Several items under correspondence. Is there any specific item anybody wants to draw attention to? Councillor Vanstone, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. 14.3, or 14.13, I should say. We thank the road staff for getting the signs up, but people are ignoring them, and we're hoping to get a flashing sign there to get people's attention to slow down on that road. So I would like to bring that forward. Thank you.
So I think the most appropriate way to address that would be to have a staff report come back for us. Would that be a motion you'd be willing to make, Councillor Vanstone?
I definitely would. Thank you very much, Mr. Warden.
And is there a seconder for that? Councillor Becker? Those in favor? That is carried. Anything else out of that list of correspondence? Councillor Harding, please.
14.2, it's a resolution about supporting alcohol container return. We're in a little bit of a jam in the north with it's not really the alcohol, it's the packaging of all these containers that's causing a problem now. We're getting overrun with cardboard and haven't got a real good way of recycling it, or I don't know. Like I thought incineration would be a way to go, and I got mixed reaction from that, and so I just I can see this thing being proposed about this alcohol container, but in the LCBO they're taking those bottles back, and so are the beer stores. So, but it's the packaging of those containers so it's not really entirely this motion. I guess I have to start at the ground level with a motion about the packaging.
Yeah, so you've put me in an awkward spot because you're suggesting something that's not here. So I'm going to look to you what you would like to take out of this.
Can we put something out to the other municipalities about a resolution about the packaging of these products, like grocery products, cases of beer products, that type of thing? Or how does that work?
Past Warden McClellan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. My understanding is we've got correspondence here. We either agree with it or disagree with it or decide to act on it or not. If Councillor Harding wants to put another motion forward for correspondence, it's a separate one, and we should just deal with that separately.
Yep. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Councillor Harding, do you actually want to support and endorse the resolution from Perry Sound, or would you like to look at some other option here?
I guess I would agree with Councillor McClellan. I should be making a motion to deal with the packaging of these products. At one time, I thought that was a gimme. They were the companies that produce the waste were going to have to deal with it, and it doesn't seem to be that way anymore. I understand a neighboring municipality of ours, and he can speak to that if he wants to. They've removed the picking up of recyclable products. I don't know whether that's a true thing or not, but I just see this getting to be a problem.
So the concern I have is this sounds more like a lower tier issue. So I'm just wondering what the best approach is for us as a county if you were to put that forward.
I just wondered if there's any sympathy for it. I'm sorry, it's not really the right place to, if anybody, there's only a couple of people doing landfill in now. And so we're sort of handcuffed or tied to what we can make a deal or come up with. And I just wonder if there's any support, if anybody else is having it.
I'm going to turn to Past Warden McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Huron East has sent information, and I do believe the county supported it, that if we get a delegation, which is to deal with recycling issue with the province across the board, this is certainly something that might be able to be tied into that, because it's all part and parcel to the same problem of the fact that it's not being picked up and not being dealt with.
I would agree with what Councillor's saying, and this agreement we have now that we take this to the landfill, it's running out the end of the year. And so when they start talking about the end of the year, that's like 2 weeks. And so.
So may I suggest that Howick and Huron East would have some conversations and then see where that could go? Okay, thank you. All right. Anything else under correspondence? Then I'd be looking for a motion to accept the correspondence that's not been specifically dealt with. Councillor Klopp makes that motion. Councillor McClellan seconds that. Those in favor, that is carried. Is there any new or unfinished business? I don't see any here. You can go to notice of motion if there is any. Not seeing any for that. And we do have some bylaws. And before we address the bylaws, Mike, I believe you're going to introduce your new deputy treasurer for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Warden. So it brings me a great pleasure to introduce Lisa Harvey as our new deputy treasurer for the county. Lisa has been with us for the past little over 13 years and has been one of the most valuable members of my team, very pleased that she has stepped up and was willing to take on this new role. So it's very much appreciated, and looking forward to working with Lisa. And not going to ask her for a speech, but anyway, welcome, Lisa.
So Lisa, welcome to your new role and position. And I'm not going to ask you to come up. But some up here wanted you to, but I'm kinder than that. So I'd be looking at the bylaws. I'd be looking for a mover and a seconder to adopt the bylaws. That's Past Warden again. Councillor Vanstone, those in favor, that is carried. We do have a close to the public session, so I'm going to suggest we just take a short break at this time while our clerk gets geared up for closed session. So I'd be looking now for a motion to leave our open session of council and enter into closed. That's Councillor Finch, Councillor Klopp. Those in favor, that is carried. So we are now going to go back into open session. So I'd be looking for a motion that we can do that. So Councillor Finch and Councillor Becker would second that. Those in favor, that is carried. and CAO Work is going to do a rise and report from our closed session.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Warden, the purpose of going into close today was to discuss identifiable individuals as it related to the 2026 budget.
All right. So you have a list of the upcoming meetings. Make yourself aware of where you're supposed to be and when. And I would look now for confirmation of our actions for this morning. Past Warden Ginn and Councillor McClellan, those in favor? That is carried. Would perchance anyone wish to adjourn us for the last time this year? You could, Councillor Dietrich could do that and Councillor Heffer could help him with that. So those that are in favor of adjourning, we are officially done for the year with our meetings here. And I want to wish each and every one of you and your families a Merry Christmas. And of course, take whatever opportunities you have locally to help support those that just can't enjoy the season the way that we do. So with that, all the best, and we look forward to seeing you next year.